Hit it.
Welcome to the Test Talks Podcast, the place to go to geek out on software testing. And now your host, whose mission is to help you succeed with test automation, Joe Colantonio.
Hey, it's Joe, and welcome to another episode of Test Talks. As you all know, enterprise software needs to innovate quickly to stay competitive, and manual testing of APIs is really inefficient. But many teams struggle to understand how to programmatically test APIs. There are many tools out there, but which one is right for you? Today we'll be test talking with Patrick Poland, one of the founders of API Fortress, which is a powerful API testing platform designed to help eliminate testing bottlenecks. So in this episode, you're going to discover why you should add API Fortress to your list of API testing tools to check out. Listen up. Test Talks is sponsored by the fantastic folks at Sauce Labs, the cloud-based automated testing platform that eliminates the need to maintain your own Selenium grid and test infrastructure. Try it for free today. Visit testtalks.com and click on the Sign Up Now link under the homepage sponsor section. Hey, Patrick. Welcome to Test Talks.
Hey, thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you on the show. We've been speaking a while about API testing and also about your solution, API Fortress, and it's great to finally have you on the show. So today I'd like to talk about, of course, API testing, which is your specialty, and how tools like API Fortress can help us create even more API testing awesomeness. But before we get into it, can you just tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. My name is Patrick Poland. I have been working in the New York tech scene for about 10 years, and one of my first jobs was working for a company called UsableNet, where we built the first mobile websites for almost every hotel, airline, and I ran the retail vertical. So it's funny these days to be talking about APIs, sort of the new technology. When 7 years ago, I was working in the new technology back before the iPhone 3GS, because that's the moment where it really clicked. But I was testing mobile websites on BlackBerries back in the day.
Just curious to know what got you into API testing. I wrote a book in 2014 thinking API testing was really going to take off. But it seems like now it seems more and more folks are getting into it. What are your thoughts on why API testing is becoming more popular?
Sure. Well, it's actually something I've spoken to prior with other people, in that whenever there's a new technology, when there's an inception point with that technology, the automated testing of that technology doesn't happen for 5 to 6 years. So when you look at when you thought websites became really popular, I think it was around the mid-90s. Selenium really took off around 99, 2000. Then with the iPhone 3GS, Apnium came out about 5 years after the iPhone 3GS. So in 2014, you notice that APIs are really becoming popular. My assumption was always around 2013. So you extrapolate 5 years from 2012, 2013, you end up around 2017, 2018. So it's actually just history repeating itself, to be honest. You build a technology, you see if it works. Once you notice that it works and it makes you money, you start putting money back into it to really reinforce it. And that's where testing and automated testing comes in.
So I know you speak with a lot of people. I think you travel a lot. You go to a lot of conferences. You're always traveling to New York and San Francisco. So I think you have a pulse on probably what folks are looking for, because I think you speak to a lot of diverse sets of folks and companies. So is there one thing you hear or features you hear people asking about when we're talking about API testing? Is it just educating them what is API testing, or is it more like, hey, we need this feature, can you help us with this?
Sure. So about 2 years ago, it was more educating, but these days people are coming to us with the problem. And the problem is, now that they've added automated testing to their website and their mobile apps, how do we get to that next level? And so people say it's a shift left. Sometimes they say it's a shift up to the API level, the layer where the data for those web platforms and those applications come from. And so to get to that level, and they want to add that as part of their CI/CD process. So our Jenkins plugin, and just the way that we can work very well with no matter what your deployment plan is, speaks well to these large enterprises that are now looking to innovate faster, which to them often means the first thing is just make deployments easier. Because as I said earlier, 7 years ago, I was working on retail companies, and I would work with a very, very large retailer, and they would make 3 deployments per year. Now we're getting into multiple deployments per week at some of these same large companies.
Very cool. So I know there are a lot of tools out there for API testing. And like we mentioned, you work for API Fortress. You created a tool because obviously you've seen a need based on what was already in the market. So why did you create a new tool rather than leverage one that already existed?
Sure, it was purely based off a need. So back in 2014, I was working at Getty Images as the API evangelist, and a customer was asking us how the API was responding the day prior. And I honestly had no insight. I would have to email the developers. Because at that time, if you want to write, and even a lot today, if you want to write like a really good API test, you have to write it in code. And that's unique because Selenium and Apnium allow you to sort of drag and drop your way to automated website and app testing. So to do API testing to that level, if you could use a tool like SmartBear SoapUI, which is a great tool, but you have to write really detailed tests in Groovy. And getting from download to your first test takes a while. And the same issue if you're using like Parasoft SOA test. And those are the two big ones we saw back when we looked at the market in 2014. And so my co-founder and I sort of thought like, well, there has to be something here. And that's where we got into like, oh, we know why this doesn't exist yet, because it takes about 5 years for automated testing to become big. So we sort of quit our day jobs, focused on building a platform, and waited for the market to turn. And it's turning now. And it's good timing because we've been building this product for a while and we're ready for showtime.
Awesome. Now I saw a demo on your product. It looked pretty slick, but because this is audio, is there any way you can give us a high level audio tour of how you would create a very simple API test, just so people can get a flavor for how it's different than maybe a more coded type of solution that they'd be more familiar with?
Sure. Well, the solutions they're probably most familiar with today is everyone knows about SoapUI or Ready API. Everyone knows about Postman. Everyone knows about Parasoft SOA test. So the big differentiator is, first of all, we're not a downloadable application. We're a web-based platform. And so what you do is you log into your account on apifortress.com, or, and this is actually the majority of our business, you log into your account at apifortress. Whatever your enterprise's name.com. So our whole platform can actually be deployed on premises at a large enterprise, all with just a Docker deployment. And so immediately there's big differences. Like the big change is between being web-based versus being a downloadable application. Think about it in terms of automation. We have webhooks and APIs, integrations with Slack and HipChat, and just think about collaboration, standardization. Because right now, every team, since you're downloading applications, one team might be using Postman, the other team might use SoapUI, and they may not have really detailed tests because what if it's a QA person with limited tech expertise? In our platform, you actually just log into the website, you load up an API call, and then you push the generate test button, and it generates 90% of the test for you in our own markup language. That's really easy it's very human readable. Then you make adjustments from there, and then you save it, and you're good to go. And at that point, anyone within the organization can log into the platform and see the test that you created. So there's great efficiencies in not having to reproduce that same test. And that test can be run manually. It can be run automatically on deployments, or it could actually be scheduled to run, like let's say every 5 minutes from 10 different locations. So that one test can be used for the entire software development lifecycle, as well as load testing. So it's covering every aspect of what full API coverage needs without having to repeat the work between teams. One person can create it for the whole team and can do it very quickly because our platform generates it for you in our web GUI.
So I love this concept of creating a script once and then get reuse out of it in other areas. So it sounds like, one, you can use it for one user functional testing, but also the uniqueness of your platform is you're able to scale that up for performance testing as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Performance testing and load testing. And it's all using the same test. So think about it this way. You create the best type of test doesn't just exercise an endpoint. It actually goes through like a whole user flow of like 10 steps. And that's really easy to do on our platform. And then once you've created that test once, you use it during development, making sure that each deployment is each new version is actually working correctly. And then you use it automatically as part of your deployments to make sure you're deploying with confidence. Then that same test, why not use it as your functional uptime monitor? There's a big difference between an API responding with a 200 and an API responding with a 200 and having a completely functional API workflow. So that's really the big difference for us. It's like you don't need to do separate work for each of these stages. It's one good test used at every stage. And then finally, like, why not test load using that user flow so that you're not just testing the performance on the load test, but you're also testing functionally what happens if there's one database that slows down at at 5,000 concurrent users, but that's the only thing that slows down. And that database just gives you one bad object in a very large payload. Well, our platform will catch that, and a lot of other platforms won't.
So there's a few things I want to dive in there. I guess the first thing is when something does go wrong, a lot of times finding out what that is an issue. So does your, like, what kind of reports or dashboarding would you have around when something goes wrong, where someone triage pretty easily what happened?
Yeah. So that's the really unique aspect about our platform. So we've used things like Postman. You create a test with JavaScript and Postman, and then if there's an error, it tells you there was an error. And then you sort of reverse your way into figuring out what it was, because our platform generates a test for you, and the tests are very verbose. So we use our own markup language, and it checks for every single object one by one. When there is an issue, our reports will actually go to you and say, like, hey, just so you know, this specific call made at this time. We expected this. What we found was this. And also, if you're having trouble reproducing the issue, our reports themselves actually store the header information and the payload. So oftentimes issues are very time sensitive, and that's not an issue for us because we have everything stored within our test report that you could possibly need to find your answer.
Great. And I just thought of this user case. I don't know if it's actually something your tool handles or even if anyone ever requests it, though. Back in the day, what I used to have to do is install an agent on a machine and ship it out to the location where I wanted to run periodically and update me, make sure that, it's like a health check from that location or everything's running. Because your solution runs in the cloud, are you able to run from different geographic locations and just do simple pings for health checks? Is that a use case that you would handle?
Yeah, exactly. So going back to what I was saying previously, you create that one good test, and you could schedule that test to run as often as you want in whatever level of detail you want. Let's say every 10 minutes, every 5 minutes. And then you could choose what locations you want it to run from. And this works whether you're using our cloud version on apifortress.com or using the on-premises version, because then you just have to spin up your own downloaders within your own cloud. But that's not an issue. So we're dealing with usually some very large enterprises that have cloud services on the East Coast and the West Coast, for example. So it's really easy to do. And again, it's all using a GUI. You don't have to do it from the command line, although we do have command line access for everything. And so that's the big thing for us. We want to make sure that it's good to say you're collaborative, but then you also need to be collaborative in a way that everyone actually wants to use it. So whether it's the GUI or the command line, there's something for you with API Fortress.
So I just want to expand on the collaboration piece. What I've been seeing a trend now is people with GUI tests, like Selenium test, will write maybe a rest assured test that will do some data population at the API level before the UI test runs. If someone's using Selenium or another UI test tool, would they be able to make calls out to API Fortress to leverage any API test they have and then be able to get a response back and then run their UI test?
Yeah, that's sort of like our big wheelhouse right now. It's coordinating all of your different systems is becoming a lot easier thanks to things like Jenkins and Travis CI, or even Cucumber. So our platform, while there's a GUI and there's a command line, and with that command line, we also have webhooks. So it actually generates a unique webhook for you. And by just hitting that webhook, which is just a simple HTTP call, it automatically runs the tests. And you could run all your tests. You could run one off. You could run all the tests with a specific tag, for example. And again, it just requires hitting this one webhook. And then the results come back to you in however you want, whether it's JSON or JUnit. And you could get it to all populate within your, let's say, Jenkins dashboard or your, Bamboo. Bamboo has a really nice dashboard too. So when you fire it automatically, it comes back, reports in Bamboo. Hey, we found 2 errors. Here's what they are.
You mentioned it's becoming more and more popular. DevOps obviously is a hot topic, and more people are moving towards continuous integration, continuous delivery. And API Fortress easily hooks into this. But can you just give an example once again of notifications? I think you said you integrate with things like Slack. So you're saying you're able to kick off a test in Jenkins and then also send out alerts of interest to certain people based on Slack.
Sure. So I have 2 pretty good examples for you. So the first example would be with, as you said, people want to fire off a test from within Jenkins, and then the test results. So we have notification integrations with any sort of tool you use today, like PagerDuty, Slack. We just had one the other day where people were using an on-premises version of HipChat, and that's really easy to set up. because we get so many emails that people want to get away from email at some point. And with the proliferation of Slack and HipChat and now Stride, I'm a huge proponent of Stride myself, Atlassian's Slack, really, if you think about it, but I think it's better than Slack right now. Just putting it into, like, let's say the errors channel has been really, really useful for us and really powerful. The other use case that's been interesting is just working with like test case management platforms. There's a few of them out there. You can actually like fire off tests from within your test case management platform and get the results right back into it. So you find yourself working from the same environment. And that's the benefit of using a platform like ours, as opposed to using a downloadable application. We have webhooks, APIs, and the ability to integrate with all of these things. Like if you've created an API blueprint or any sort of contract on using a platform like, let's say, Apiary, which is owned by Oracle now, we actually have an integration with Apiary and with Mashery, where you can log into your account for those platforms, and we'll pull your Swagger files for you and generate a test from that. And this is all stuff that's possible because we have this web-based platform. Whether it's on premises or in the cloud, it still has these capabilities that you just don't have when you're using a downloadable Java-based application like a Postman, a SoapUI, or a Parasoft.
Great. So another thing is protocols. So a lot of times people will have a library that just handles REST services. But of course, as you mentioned, there's a lot of scenarios where you'd probably need to interact with the database, do something with JMS. So APIs can be anything. So I'm just curious to know what kind of support does API Fortress have for what kind of APIs does it support?
Yeah, that's one of the most interesting things that we've seen actually as we've been building this. The one thing you can't do is completely reinvent what people are used to. All you can do is give them brand new, powerful features while still making it tolerable for them. So if, we get many people saying, well, where's the file open Excel file? Like, how do I put in data that way? And we have something that's, it's fairly similar, but again, we're not a downloadable application. So there is no file open anywhere, but you can connect to an Excel file. You can connect to a CSV. You can connect to like a JDBC or a SQL database, however you want. So it's been interesting being able to sort of backwards innovate. So we had a lot of good ideas initially, but we realized a lot of our customers were still very comfortable with their humongous CSV files, which, we think would be better. Like, why not use an API as your first call and use those results as your data for the subsequent call? We think that's the best way you should be doing these things. But the reality is, like, a lot of people just have these really robust CSVs, and that's what they need to use. And so that's why we have specific components in the platform to communicate with those CSVs, because you can't force people to work one way. You have to be flexible for everyone.
And we've mentioned the dashboarding already. Just curious to know another user case. Say you do have some UI test, and you also have API tests, but you want to keep everything in one location. And the problem I see is people have like 50 different dashboards. Is there any way someone could send like a custom call or post to API Fortress's dashboard to add custom content?
We are building out a new, more robust dashboard and reporting to give people more flexibility. But what we're doing right now is actually a little more interesting in that, like, since for the last year and a half at least, if you go to API Fortress, you'll see that we have API docs. We actually have a robust set of APIs. And so what we do is we actually make our data available to any other platform. So people that want to bring in their data into their dashboards and whatever platform they're using, it's as simple as just a webhook call or a basic API call to pull all the data and get it all in one place. And those are sorts of integrations that we're working on now with third parties, because it's, if they're already using those platforms in the day-to-day, the reality is once you set up API Fortress, a lot of it can run on its own. You create your tests, you schedule them, it should run. So why force people to log into API Fortress? Why not have them just get the results within the platform that they have to use every day, which is like a test case manager, for example?
I guess another thing that people sometimes get nervous about is not self-generating scripts, but scripts that pretty much write themselves and then you modify it a little. So it's almost like a codeless type of technology. If someone does need to modify the script creation that your tool provides, you did say there's a mock-up language, but what language is that written in? Is it just like an English-like syntax that they would modify?
Sure. So the core of our platform is that we created our own XML markup language. So when we generate a test, it generates the whole framework of the test, everything from making the call to validating every object both for existing and for also making sure that the data that comes through it is within range as well. If it's supposed to be a URL or an integer or a Boolean or what have you, or a state code. So it's all a really simple, human readable XML. But we actually have two different views, and this goes back into the collaboration part. There's a code view, but then there's also a visual view, and you could choose which view you want. But we actually have a visual view that allows you to drag and drop and create tests that way, using just it's a whole GUI that you typically only see in a Selenium and Apnium platform, and that's sort of really unique aspect of what we have, because we realize a lot of people are more used to the code view, and so you have full access to that. But we also realize some people just want to do something quickly. And if you're comfortable using a mouse, you can build a test much more rapidly using our GUI if you wish to go about that way.
So I was just looking over my notes from the SauceCon where I saw a demo of API Fortress, and I have Vault. I don't know why Vault written down. I think it had to do something when something was automatically generated. I think you showed me something where it created values for you automatically, like edge cases. Can you talk a little bit more about that if I'm remembering correctly?
No. So we actually have this thing called the Vault. So it actually stores either variables and or code snippets that can be reused between tests.
Oh, okay.
And so it's a really powerful feature because it allows people to not have to repeat work. So when dealing with APIs, one of the biggest headaches is often getting through the authorization scheme. Well, you can just create that once and then refer to it in all of your tests, so that you don't have to rewrite that every single time because it already exists in the Vault a single time.
Also, a lot of things that people are looking for with an API solution is anything that help with mocking or stubbing or service virtualization. Do you provide any sort of services around that or any sort of functionality?
Yeah, actually in 2 weeks, you will see our first mocking service. So we've been hesitant to create our own mocking because there's a lot of pretty good tools that do it already. We really just focus on testing. But as you know, the roadmaps, we've reached that point in the roadmap now where we think mocking service is the next big item. And we have something coming out in 2 weeks that is really it really works well. And it's solving for a lot of the problems we've seen in some of the other mocking platforms. Not only is there like a really simple to use GUI, but the open-endedness of it. That's the one thing that we always have to be mindful of with our users, is that people are afraid when they don't see a code view. We've noticed they believe that like, oh, this is a locked environment. If I can't do something, I can't do anything. If there's something like, if we go back to our API testing in our markup language, you can actually write Groovy code in it. You don't have to use our markup at all. Like it's completely open-ended in that regard. So if you're more comfortable using Groovy, which is what you've been doing in SOAP UI, you can use that in API Fortress. We're an entirely Java-based platform. And so the same thing with our mocking services, the flexibility to it is much more open-ended than they're more GUI-based. And that's really important to us because our chief product officer is our CTO, and he's a Java developer, core code guy. So anything that makes him feel locked in isn't acceptable at API Fortress.
Great. So you mentioned really doing end-to-end workflows with API tests. Can you just give us an example of that? So are you able to, say you had 10 different APIs, but you need to like call one API, use the output from that to use as input for another. It sounds like that would be something fairly easy to create within your application.
Yeah, well, that's actually a good question. So one of the things that's more interesting about our platform that we always try to push on is that some people have created some basic tests, but they're the sort of tests that if that's all you tested on a website or on an application wouldn't be acceptable. But we've been accepting it because APIs are fairly technical and requires a lot of code to create these multi-step tests. And that's one of the main things when we started this 2014. We wanted to make sure that it was simple to be able to reproduce an entire user flow without having it be complicated, making it simple to say, do a search for the color red from a search API, get all the results, randomly pick 5 of them, go into the product details of 3 of them, add 2 of them to cart, and then go through the checkout flow. That's pretty simple to do if you're using something like Selenium because people are just used to clicking around. But APIs are text-based. So people kept thinking that it just wasn't possible to get away from writing code. And that's sort of the unique invention we've discovered is that like it is possible to create a visual GUI that allows you to do something just like that, of connecting these steps together in a way that's it's not requiring you to figure out how to code in Python and how to improve your Groovy skills on the spot.
So Patrick, is that one thing you see over and over again that most people doing something with API testing are doing wrong?
Yeah. So the one thing we see a lot with companies we speak with are that they immediately do sort of the bare minimum in terms of API testing. So they're not doing an integration test. They're just sort of exercising endpoints. And every team's doing their own thing, or there's one person that's set up this library himself or herself, and then no one's really sure how that works. So there's been this sort of siloing of API we're seeing as people are making decisions based on they solve their problem by the end of the day, as opposed to thinking about it. What can we set up now that'll work for the whole enterprise, no matter what level you're on, from DevOps to QA analyst to chief architect? And that's where you bring in things like API Fortress. We're the ones that really solve for that, because everyone can work collaboratively in our platform and you aren't siloed off. So let's say, unfortunately, you lose a team member. Well, nothing will get lost because it's all stored in a central location and everyone understands how it works, because it's not written in by one developer and the other coder has to go into it and try to figure out how he wrote it. Really, I guess the summation of that is thinking about how you want to handle API testing across all teams for the entire company, as opposed to just trying to solve it for yourself, because at some point you will hit constraints that will require you to start all over. So you're better off kicking it off correctly from the start. And that's the one big thing that we always try to tell people. Even if API Fortress isn't the right choice for you, just think about what the company would want this to be in 3 years, as opposed to just checking off a box right now.
All right, Patrick. So you mentioned some functionality that you plan on coming out in a few weeks. Is there anything else that are in the works that you could talk about that's maybe on maybe 6 months to a year that you would hope to see incorporated into your solution that's not there yet?
Sure. So mocking services is coming out in 2 weeks. We're also making another big update to our load testing. Load testing was sort of released in beta, but it's going to come out in a much more reinforced fashion. The other thing that's been interesting to us, and this is us listening to what our customers want more than our own imagination, is improved reporting in terms of like what was the health or how many failures occurred last month versus this month. And so I literally mean being able to put together these reports and make a PDF and then be able to attach those PDFs to like an email. To us, we never really considered that significant. But when you're dealing with large enterprises, there's a lot of levels of management that want access to all of this information. You can't expect them to log into API Fortress to pull it out. So making it much easier to make PDF printable copies of that sort of information is something we hadn't considered, but it's the feedback we get. So, and then finally so mocking, load testing, reporting, and then the final piece, and this is going to come out probably a month and a half, is our developer tools. So being able to use the platform without logging into it. So sticking within your IDE, pulling the layer from your Git, and then, saving all the files to your Gits, and then executing it from a command line. So having developers use the platform without having to log into it, but from their command line or from their own IDE. We know that's something a lot of developers really they're comfortable in their own way that they work. And thankfully, because we're this completely open-ended platform, and because we have all these APIs, we can create these little Java machines and these little markups that allow you to do that sort of work in your own environments and just send it back and forth to the Git and to the platform to be executed.
Very cool. I guess what I get worried about when I hear about a solution, you do performance testing, you have dashboarding, you have all this stuff. What's your pricing structure? I know you can't give numbers, but is it like, oh, I need to do performance testing. Oh, you need to unlock that. That's going to be another $100,000. How does it work?
No, thankfully, actually, our pricing is all on the website. We're very open-ended about it. So we basically the difference is whether you need it to be on the cloud or on premises, and it depends on how many users you have. So if you look at the website now, if it's 1 to 5 users, it's about $160 per month per user. But what's really interesting and the most valuable part is if you scroll down a little bit on the pricing page and you see the unlimited pricing, that's really our sort of wheelhouse. That's our big differentiator. We don't sell features, we sell the platform. So the minute you purchase the platform, you immediately have everything unlocked. We actually don't have a way to lock things from you. So the minute you buy in, you have load testing, you'll get mocking, you'll get all the reporting. There's no upselling. And when we sell you the unlimited pricing, that means, and so this is sort of our wheelhouse. We have a lot of customers. You install on premises and you have unlimited users, unlimited test creation, unlimited mocking calls, like unlimited everything. And it's all on premises, and it has access to everything that your company could ever need. Because that's one thing we always find confusing. I mean, I'm going to be completely blunt. I have to use a CRM, and if you've ever had to use a sales CRM like a HubSpot or a Salesforce, you can imagine the frustration of like, that report's free, but this report's $200 a month. It's the most mind-numbing thing. We can't understand how that works. So with API Fortress, the price is on the website, and there's no features that are taken away. It's whether you want it on a cloud or on premises, it's the only real differentiator, because on premises, we can completely unlock it for you in terms of like number of executions and number of tests. While if it's in our cloud, we have to have some constraints because it's our AWS bill.
Okay, Patrick, before we go, is there one piece of actionable advice you can give someone to help them with their API testing efforts? And let us know the best way to find or contact you or learn more about API Fortress.
Sure. So you can reach us at apifortress.com. And in terms of like one really actionable piece, it goes into what I said previously a little bit, like just sit down and think about where you see your API testing needing to be down the road, as opposed to just how you can solve the current issue you have, because just adding it as part of your CI/CD may not also allow you to do proper functional uptime monitoring, or it may not be super valuable to your development team that's looking to continually improve upon the platform. So really take into consideration all of those things, because we deal with customers that are constantly, they reach a wall and they have spent months working towards a wall that they can't go over, and they have to re-platform and redo everything. So really take that into consideration before you dive into using, like a downloadable application, or if you're building your own platform from scratch. Like, is it the build versus buy discussion should be taken a lot more seriously than people realize, because of those constraints that you don't know about until you reach them.
Thank you, Patrick, for your API testing awesomeness. For links to everything of value we covered in this episode, head on over to testtalks.com/214. And while you're there, make sure to click on the sign up for a free trial link under the exclusive sponsor section to learn all about our awesome sponsor, Sauce Labs. So that's it for this episode of Test Talks. I'm Joe, and my mission is to help you succeed with creating automation awesomeness. As always, test everything and keep the good. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the Test Talks podcast. Head on over to www.testtalks.com for full show notes, amazing blog articles, and other automation awesomeness.